On this episode, I antagonize one of the few Dallas Cowboy fans I can stand. His name is Bobby, and we have known each other way too long. Like me, Bobby joined our fraternity a little bit later than most, and that little bit of perspective has helped save more young men than you could possibly imagine. And on the outside, it'd be easy to say that's where our similarities end. But you have to make an investment to get to know someone to reap the benefits, and Bobby has been worth the investment. I am truly grateful that we are friends. We also talk about when you buy your friends, there's no return policy. Let's jump in. Hey everybody, welcome to a Moderately Good podcast. I know each and every one of you are coming back, and I'm so grateful. And tell your friends, aren't you having a good time? I mean, it's only gonna get better tonight. I'm promising you this. Before I get started, I'm gonna do my regular shout outs. Shout out to my camera and lighting guy. It's Above Average Joe Media. You can also find him at Above Average Joe. He does all my photography, cool pictures, videos, stuff like that. He helps me with everything, and he does everything, so go check him out. And then my guy Jaron on No Names Originals. He does like custom bleaching. He has a lot of artwork he does. Just really cool stuff, really modern stuff. I love it. I wear a lot of his clothes on the podcast. My guy Mo, he has the Go Bubble app. We've gone over this before. They're bringing the car wash to your house. You have no excuse not to wash your car at this point. I mean, because it's coming to your house. It's like we're already lazy with everything else. Just like, yeah, I mean, straight up. The Body Rebuilder, they're out in Georgetown, and they are taking care of everybody. So if you're a competitive bodybuilder, if you're a person that's 95 years old, whatever shape and form you are, they are helping align all your stuff, and you really want to get out there and see them. The people out there are great, so make sure you go see them. And last but not least, my guy Joe, he also has this little side thing he does called Whiskey Vibes Only. And it's a very cool place to see new kinds of whiskeys. He does really good photos around it. He answers questions for people like me that don't know anything about whiskey. And that's cool. You know what I mean? Not every guy knows about whiskey. I don't know about cars. What do I need to know about cars for? I know everything about shoes. There's no reason to know about cars. So, we've discussed before how easy it is to just like grab one of your friends that you paid for to get to come on a podcast. So everybody, I would like to welcome you and him and him and you. Bobby, say hi to everybody. What's up, man?
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Now, really quickly.
Yeah.
Is there anything before we get started? Because we're gonna talk.
Oh, we're diving.
We'll dive.
We're getting deep.
But so is there anything you want to plug real quick? Anything you want to like your Instagram or anything like that?
Check us out if you're an outdoorsman, woman. Hunt Lazy Fork or see my friends at Voodoo Fishing Charters in Venice, Louisiana. Those guys are killing it. HuntLazyFork.com. Check us out. But other than that, I'm here to talk to you.
Yeah, well, it's might as well. I mean, this is what you do. It's part of you, so we might as well talk a little bit about it. So let me ask you real quick. Okay. So we'll go all species first.
Yeah.
What is your best get? What are you most happy, proud of that you have shot? And let's people understand that getting to shoot high-end animals, there is a positive to that, right, Bobby? Because there's a lot of money that goes back to conserving those animals, right?
Yeah, no, it really is. And again, these animals that we harvest, which we call, it's more of a
getting the old ones out of the way.
That's it. And we do it for meat. There's not one thing that I shoot just to kill it. I shoot
that you can't eat, because you can't eat everything.
Right.
But everything that you can't eat, you do, right?
I strictly hunt and fish for things to put in my freezer. If I'm able to preserve that animal and go on my wall, then it lives on my wall forever. But other than that, I mean, I think my first actual trophy whitetail, I think is probably,
What's the spread?
He was like 24 or something like that inches, and it was 14 point.
Dang.
But probably the coolest animal I've gotten to harvest is an eland. That was a pretty cool.
What the fuck is that?
So it's an African animal. It's the biggest of the antelope family. It's a big. It looks like a cow, except it has these really big spiral horns that go probably, I think mine is 17 inches long. After killing it, I got about 600 pounds of meat out of him.
Dang.
Yeah, it was a big.
Is it lean? Is that a lean meat?
It is very lean.
Because is it like a lean cow? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, and that's what. So in Russia, that's pretty much their cow. In Africa,
no way. Okay.
In Africa, that's
that's their beef.
That's their beef.
Yeah.
And delicious, very lean. Big. Think about a 2,000-pound animal that can jump a 10-foot fence.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah. And that's kind of what happened with this one. A friend of mine who raises them in Texas, shout out to G5 Ranch in Pearsall, that animal, they were flying a helicopter, and that animal got spooked and jumped this 10-foot high fence. And the neighbor next door was like, look, you got until Wednesday to get this animal out here, or I'm going to shoot it. So he called me and was like, hey, I need you to come shoot this animal. And I was like, okay. So
did you dress up like a hitman?
I actually, I got this scope kiss, and I've been hunting most of my life, and I never scope kissed myself. And a scope kiss is where basically you're looking through the scope, you shoot, and the reticle on the scope hits your eyebrow and splits it open, and so I was bleeding and everything. It's a funny story. I'm sitting there on this Yeti bucket for 6 hours, right? And I'm waiting for this animal. We've never hunted this property, don't know anything about it. This animal is wild as heck. And I'm sitting on this bucket underneath this shade tree at this.
Really quickly, kind of fairly, like you're hunting. That's like real hunting.
Yeah.
Because you don't know the property.
Don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like real hunting, kind of. You know what I mean? Anyways,
no.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting by one of the closest water sources where he had jumped the fence. So I'm thinking, got my hunting cap on. Eventually this animal is going to have to get a drink. So I'm sitting and I'm facing the opposite direction. The pond's behind my back, and 6 hours in, I'm thinking I'm going to hang it up, and I rotate on this bucket, Yeti bucket, and I turn around, and this big eland is taking a drink. And so I bring my gun around, and I'm using the bucket as a rest, and these are massive animals. So I shoot this animal, hit him dead in the shoulder, and I'm pumping another shell in to shoot him again. And I'm leaning on the bucket. Well, as I'm following him, he's walking real slow. I'd gotten a really good shot off. The bucket falls.
Oh, shit.
And I'm about to pull the trigger. My hand is on the trigger. The bucket falls. The gun goes off. I get scope kissed. And instantly, I'm like bleeding where I'm wiping my face. I'm trying to throw another shell in because I don't want this big animal to go fall into some brush somewhere. You have to load them with like tractors and things. You just can't throw them on the back of a buggy.
Right.
So,
and you don't want them to suffer.
And I don't. No, absolutely not. That's the worst thing ever. So I mean, fortunately, the first shot was dead on the money. He didn't go far. Died very quickly, and so I call my buddy. I say, "Hey, I got him," and he's like, "No way. We didn't think that we were going to find him." Based on the fact that we didn't know the property or anything. Got the animal. My buddy shows up. I have my shirt off because I'm holding it over my head, and I got blood everywhere. And he's thinking that I shot myself or something. He's like, "What happened?" So it was a funny. That was actually the last animal I harvested. I do more outfitting where I'm a guide than I do my actual own hunts.
Do you like being a guide?
I do.
What do you like about it?
So my biggest joy is we have a lot of kids that have terminal illnesses and things like that want to come and hunt, or we have wounded warriors that come and hunt, and me sitting with them and them harvesting their animal and being a part of their joy. It's kind of I mean, you have your little girl and seeing her first reaction to something that you're so comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
And the joy that they get out of it. That is my joy, and it brings a lot. It really humbles you.
Well, like, people can be very controversial about hunting animals, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna throw this out there. You're gonna tell a terminal kid a kid that has terminal cancer, that the one thing that kid wants to do before he leaves this earth is just shoot an animal that will be used for meat and be productive in that way, right? When it's going to happen anyway, and you're not going to give that to him, that's kind of messed up. You know what I mean? I don't think everything has to be all the way bad. You know what I mean?
Think about this, and again, I in no way am like, if you're a vegan or if you're, anti-hunting, I completely support your decision. That is the way you want to go in your path.
You respect that
I
decision.
respect it
Absolutely.
completely, and I'm not going to push what my beliefs or thoughts onto you.
Right.
In the same breath, I don't want to be condemned or condoned because you don't agree with how I live my life, right? And with that, the opportunities. I mean, or you get somebody that will go and buy their meat at the grocery store, but they won't harvest it themselves. I don't like. I rarely. I don't remember when I bought ground
you
meat.
killed like a 2,000-pound animal. Like, you got meat till like next fucking year.
But I don't remember when the last time I went and bought ground meat that has all these, steroid, whatever they're having them, But I'm not gonna preach to that guy or gal that, hey, you probably should go out there and harvest your own stuff. That, for everybody, for each their own, But the joy of, there are people that do not get to see this, and again, animals dying of old age doesn't necessarily happen. There are wolves, there are coyotes, there are bobcats, wild pigs.
And so I think where you're going with this is that, like, y'all also take off like older animals, right?
They have to get to a very mature age. They have to be on the downhill slide of their life before we do anything with them, before we harvest them.
Right.
Before we think about harvesting them. We definitely feed them. When there's a big drought,
You have to, bro.
those animals are looking for things to eat.
It's like starving people in the streets of wherever, right?
And we take out predators. There are a lot of predators that are out there that are killing baby deer and things like that. It's a cycle. It's a life cycle. And one of my favorite authors, hunters, Steve Arnell, who knows more about wildlife than anyone else, is an avid hunter, but the conservation and the money that brings in from what we do pays for a whole bunch of stuff that people don't realize, you know.
I'm just gonna drop 2 cents in. If anyone knows me, they know that I was married before, and my ex-in-laws, stuff like that, they had a high fence deer ranch and stuff like that, and I didn't know a lot of those things until I was in their lives. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you can say, hey, you shouldn't do all this stuff, but understand that, like, a species could die off just by natural causes of infection and virus. So the fact that money goes back into preserving them and that you kill off the old ones, stuff like that, it's very much a conservation of sorts.
Yeah.
It's not a very comfortable conservation, but it's like come up with a better solution of giving money back to maintain these animals so that they don't lose them as a species altogether. Is that correct?
You're absolutely right. You have to realize is that, you can't be overloaded with animals because they're going to eat themselves out of house.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds. There's many ways an animal can die in the wild, and it could be like a drought. So you're like, oh, there's a drought, we're feeding them. You know what I mean? Like that's very important.
Well, do you remember we had Texas had Snowmageddon that came through, right? And it wiped out a whole bunch of animals
because there was no food, right?
Because they also weren't used.
Yeah, it just messed them up, right?
Yeah, but in a lot of ranches, there are these temporary shelters and things that were put in.
They feed them.
They were brought food. There were a lot of things that I think folks that are in this industry really do care a lot more for that animal than the person that is just like, you shouldn't do that. Well, but what are you doing besides telling someone that they shouldn't, harvest an animal?
So tell me if you think this is fair. I think if you think that people shouldn't like shoot animals or eat meat or whatever else it is, then you should really go check it out for yourself. Like you should go there to wherever it is, like go to like one of these ranches we're talking about. So like, go check it out for yourself. Go talk to those people. Like, don't just like listen to like what's on the internet, what you see on TV, what somebody else says. Go check it out for yourself, and then make a decision of like, hey, is this productive for us on the planet, right?
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I would disagree with on and being a pro hunter are these jackasses that are just shooting to shoot, killing to kill, blowing things up. I don't condone that. I don't.
Well, yeah, because in every group of people, there's somebody fucking it up for the rest of them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, and again, the quote unquote hillbilly, that is just driving around, shooting things. That's something that we all would drop the hammer on. If we saw something like that as actual pro hunters that care and seen those kind of activities, that is something that we wouldn't play with at all.
Here's a compliment I could give you and like give my brother as an example, and my dad, just multiple people, right? Like, you are a person that I feel real comfortable owning a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My brother is a person I feel real comfortable owning a gun, like in who he is. You know what I mean? Now, that opinion could change if you go like ape shit, but at this current time, like, I feel real comfortable with that, and I don't see why someone like you or someone like him can't have a gun or have a light, the carrier, whatever, right? I mean, because they're like, it's once again, it's like these other people messing it up for people that are actually responsible, like you and my brother, right?
Well, again, whether you have a gun or a knife or if, let's just say we wiped out every firearm on the planet, an evil man will figure out a way
to kill
to do
somebody else.
evil things.
Yeah.
then we'd be outlawing 2x4s
or whatever,
or
it is.
whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, people are real creative about killing.
Yeah, and an evil person is going to be evil regardless,
Right.
Right, and we see that. You see that. I just finished I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix, the John Wayne Gacy video or the John Wayne Gacy recordings on Netflix.
No, I haven't. Is it good?
Yeah, so the
rough,
dude
though?
was.
Is it rough though?
The dude was crazy.
Yeah, no shit.
Didn't shoot anyone. Strangled him, murdered him because he had.
That was his weapon of choice.
Well, he called himself a bisexual. He was very anti-gay though. Like he was like, listen, I'm not gay.
Right.
But he was killing these gay prostitutes and young people. He never used a gun.
Yeah.
So evil is evil. They're creative. Now, what we need to protect ourselves from evil in a lot of ways are
weapons.
A weapon that could do that. A gun, it would take me a whole lot to pull my weapon or my gun out in a violent act, and it's not ever going to be for anything other than protection.
You have it concealed?
Yes.
Yeah.
So any sort of protection, if I'm protecting a woman that is getting raped or I'm still not going to just walk up with my gun. You know me for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with my hands anyways. I don't need but you can't always do that.
Well, and you don't always know if that person has some sort of weapon.
Right.
So, and once again, that just goes back to say what I was saying before, which is like you, because of the person you are, you're a person I would trust with a weapon. I would trust myself just because I kind of know gun safety, but like, I don't know if I trust myself in the best situations just because I think I might be too not assertive enough to fire a weapon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that you, and like I said, like my brother, like a lot of people in my life that have weapons, it feels like they would know the right times to do the right things. And like, that's not me. You know what I mean?
And honestly, man, 90% of the folks that have them are that way.
It's just that, is that 10% fucking it up for everybody else?
There's 10% of a bunch of idiots, right? I could say that there's 10% of people that are anti-gun that are screwing things up too. And
it's more of like the 20-80 rule, right?
Right.
20% of the people having the influence, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like in the sense of like you could take any race, any gender, anything, and 20% of those people are fucking it up for the other 80%.
Yeah.
Like at least at this point, like the way social media kind of works, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of why I do the podcast is to kind of show that like, hey, like most of the people I know, they're in the 80%. They're not in the 20%. Who are these 20% people? Like, who are these people? But like, has that been going on since the beginning of time in the sense of like back in the Western days, the guy was selling snake oil. He was that dude. You know what I mean? Like it's always probably gone on. We just have more ways to see it because of social media and the internet and shit. Fair?
That guy that was pulling up with his wagon with all these magical ointments back in the 80s.
Bro, yeah.
He's the telemarketer that we have right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's calling about your car insurance, right?
Yeah.
That's that guy.
Hey, he's scam likely.
Yes.
Hey, you met old scam likely?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that guy,
He lives in McCade, Texas. I know that. Scam likely in McCade, Texas.
I mean, it's the same thing that, we have conservative idiots that are
fucking it up for everybody
fucking it up for everybody. You can't be gay. Hey, that is whoever decides to live their life how they want to live it is their prerogative. The way I feel is that you just don't shit on someone else for living their life the way that they want. We're all in this world to live together, and we take each other. That's what makes this world go round. I think is the different aspects. I have an uncle who's gay, right, and he's one of my favorite people in the world, and how he, talks to me and how we play around, and
He's a good person.
he's an incredible person.
And that's what matters.
That's what matters.
That's right.
And again, like, he'll give me, shit for being a heterosexual man, and I just don't understand how you can do that. And it's funny to me, right? But I love him to death, and I support whatever. If he wants me to go march with him to support him and all the good people like him, great. I think that's where we've lost this.
Well, and I also think that like sometimes people don't come in contact with the good people. Their experiences are only with the shithead people. So like as an example, if you've only had shitty experiences with police officers, well, I would go out on a limb and say you don't probably like police officers, right? But if you have good experiences with them, you're like, oh, I feel more comfortable around that idea. And you could apply that to anything, right? And I would say that, that you've had good experiences around these kind of external ideas. You know what I mean? It gives you perspective. And then it gives you perspective of like, hey, what about the things I haven't seen? Maybe those things are like not what I think either. It's the same thing as going back to like, hey, if you're going to judge like a hunting ranch or like go out there and see it. Like go out and talk to somebody. Like actually give it a chance. Don't be out like being a jerk about it and being like you hate, like have an open mind to the idea that maybe that something that's so sustainable might actually have a little bit of good, because you could go, man, there's bad shit about our government. There's good shit about our government. There's great stuff about our government. There's horrible things about our government. But man, like we live in a pretty damn good place compared to everybody else.
It really is. And I've been blessed enough to travel around and to really experience the greatness of where we actually live, and and the convenience.
When you go to other places, you
Yeah.
really realize how lucky we have it here, right?
Yeah.
Where's the shittiest place you've been, like outside the United States?
I mean, honestly, I think Mexico.
It's pretty rough. Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody can,
Yeah.
If you've
been to those parts of Mexico.
And I'm not talking. I'm not talking about Cabo.
Not talking about
I
Cancun.
love Cabo and Cancun,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about
like Mexico.
Right. And hell, we went to Mexico.
That was rough.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember.
I don't remember anything.
I was pretty close to that, but I do remember a young girl, like 5 years old, 6 years old,
selling candy and stuff.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember
selling that gum. Well, she was grabbing my hand
Chiclets.
to try to come across with me, and I'm thinking, you
were thinking, I'm the only Hispanic in this group, so of course she's going to pick me.
She was like, yeah, this is the one I'm going to go with.
And then you get to the border, and they're like, why'd you bring your daughter to Mexico? And you're like, I don't know.
Hey,
I'm trying to show responsibility by selling these chiclets.
I honestly was like, you know what? If I was ready for kids, I really want to take this. Yeah,
you were going to kidnap a child?
I wasn't going to kidnap her. I was, in my head, I was like, I'm a saver.
Yeah,
sure.
Hey, bro, you got enough kids.
Well, now I do. Yeah. And again, I didn't even know that I was having a daughter at that time.
Wait. So when we went to Mexico, you had no kids,
right? No.
And now you have 4 kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm 45 years old now. You can't make it like I went to Mexico yesterday.
What do you think? I'm trying to trap you like fucking TMZ? Like I'm not. Like what are you talking about? Anyway, so we're talking about shitty places to live. Like Mexico's a shitty place. Hey, look, I went to China, and there are parts of China where it's like Mexico. You know what I mean? It's just as shitty, and like you're just like, man, everything that you have, like. I've talked about this before, but like during the winter storm, like we lost like our electricity and like water and stuff. We had to go stay somewhere else. And people were just like, man, this is bullshit. I was like, do you know how lucky you are to have a house? Like, even if your house has no electricity and no water, you have shelter. You know what I mean? Like, just feel like blessed. And I felt really blessed. We got to go to Aaron's sister's house and stay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, just like have some perspective of like how shitty it could be, But you only do that by traveling. You only do that by traveling, right?
You can't. I mean, that's the thing, and you can sit in the comfort of, of your house behind your keyboard and just bitch about the injustice that you have to face, face some real injustice. Like, I completely agree. I think if everybody, both sides, go to a gay march, go to a hunting ranch, go whatever you disagree with,
Go do some shit.
go see that other side before you make. And I think that's where we've really lost our way. I think, scrolling through social media, you don't even click on the article. You just see the headline.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
Share.
I disagree with this.
Share.
Share it.
Whatever. Yeah.
We're not processing the information, before Facebook, and we've been alive before all this bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And we were able to pick up a newspaper, or really, remember Dave Ward from Eyewitness from Channel 13. I remember sitting there as a kid, just hearing some regular news, right?
Slime in the ice machine.
Yeah, Slime and Ice Machine. Marvin Zindler. That kind of stuff. Those days are gone. The people nowadays are getting, their head is just being poured with this shit.
If you don't actively try to find the truth, no one's going to give it to you.
No.
What they're going to give you is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go look for the truth. And it's no longer the days where the news is just going to hand over the truth. They're going to give you some version of the truth, and you're going to have to make a decision on what is good and bad. And like, if you don't, man, like, it's going to be tough because someone else is dictating your thoughts. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's something that I pass down to my kids. Don't listen to make your own decisions based on information that you've gathered. Like, dive into it, deep dive into it.
Yeah.
Don't take it at face value, because everything seems to be painted in one way or the other. I've never seen us more divided than we are now, and really, it's because we just stopped trying to listen to the other person.
Our biggest pandemic is communication.
Correct. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well said. I completely agree with that. I think, the police stuff and things like that, there are shitty cops out there.
Hey, you're back to that 20%, bro.
Yeah,
You're back. There's 20% of shitty cops. You had a bad experience. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But don't assume that everybody's like that, dude.
No.
And then, and if the second guy is like that, man, go into I don't say like an open mind. And man, it's hard. Like, I haven't experienced a lot of interactions with cops that were bad, and I understand a lot of people do. But like, at least, man, try to go in the mindset of like thinking just a little bit different, so maybe the outcome is a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then ask yourself, if you keep running into shitty cops, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, as a perspective piece, like, if you keep dating shitty girls,
Exactly.
what's the common denominator?
Yeah, the common denominator. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
So it doesn't apply necessarily always to cops. It applies to every person. Like, you keep running across the same crowd. Maybe it's not them. Maybe, possibly, right? And
Yeah.
just take some perspective of it might be you, correct?
it's everything. One of the things that I really enjoy seeing with the social media are the good stories, right? The young men and women are helping each other. The cop that's bringing school supplies, or sitting there playing basketball with a kid in his front yard. That kind of stuff. But I think we focus so much now, like, that kind of stuff doesn't sell. The negative, we want to be fed the negative as the mindset, I think, is what people have now.
I think that you could create that every day in your life.
Yeah.
In your own personal life, you could create those hallmark moments that are on the internet, and you could do that every day with somebody's life.
Yeah.
But it's easier, we choose, and we feed more into the negative thing. So you don't help that lady, you don't buy that coffee, you don't do. And then your life feels really fucking negative, I bet. You know what I mean? You know how great it is to like just do something really nice for somebody just because you want to, with nothing expected in return, because it's just a really cool thing to do, to just help your fellow person. You know what I mean?
I mean, I really enjoy the pay it forward kind of idea. You know, that
And let me say, like, as someone that knows Bobby like this, that is no bullshit. He's been like that. He has been that person. Wait, let me tell you something. When this cat was flat broke, it had no money, no money. I mean, like, I don't even know where the money came from. He would still be like, "Hey, I'm buying all the drinks."
yeah.
Like, he would just. I'm not saying like necessarily fake it to make it, but like you were like, yo, like my friend, my giving to you is important, and I know that will pay me back. I feel like is that kind of was that your attitude?
My attitude was, like I don't have a huge circle of friends.
Your circle's tight, bro.
My circle's tight, and you're in my circle. The relationships that I have are is small. And what I do in that circle is like I'm going to make sure that I'm going to like that person is my person.
That's your world, bro.
I'll spend every single dollar I have for us to have a good time tonight, and I'll worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. That was my mindset then. It's still my mindset now. Now I have a family. I have responsibilities and bills.
No, we're not saying you're irresponsible.
But back then, it was the same thing. It was.
You got no kids, bro.
Yeah, I didn't. But I definitely value. Hell, I was playing golf with Caperton over in Longview at his
these being our fraternity brothers.
Yeah, fraternity brothers. I mean, our relationship goes 20 plus years. I don't
Pledge Brothers, right?
Yeah, we were playing.
Just double check.
But I'm saying you and I, our relationship goes back 20 plus years, and I don't see you all the time. But the moment that I see you, it's like
I love how you walked right into this, like, because I totally wanted to talk about this. So, I feel like we go to dinner, lunch pretty often.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you do that with all of our brothers, or am I unique? And there's no wrong answer. I'm just curious.
No.
So we see each other pretty often, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, surprise, surprise. I really only do that with you that often. Like, I mean, you're really the only person I really do that with, right? So my question for you is that something like you do you actively want to come like hang out with me, and like you don't actively ask anybody else, or nobody else asks you, or do I actively ask you? My question is like, how are we always going to dinner, but neither one of us really goes to dinner with anybody else? Is it us or is it them? Does that make sense?
I think collectively it's how we vibe with each other.
But I think it's also like, let me ask you this: like, you like seeing me in person, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, like we go to dinner and lunch, shit, like talk in person, like the person aspect of that.
Yeah.
Right? Is that fair?
Absolutely. I mean, I love the guys that I stay in contact
all the guys are great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not knocking any other relationships with the other dudes.
But you're right. And again, we kind of get into this comfort of that's who I'd want to break bread with right now. Like there are days where it's like I really don't want to deal with anyone else, but that guy is who I I have those where I'm not the most joyous person to be around all the time, but when it comes to my people, you being one of those guys, is like I want to see what's going on in your world. I genuinely give a shit, right? There are others that...
And I feel that, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
I feel that you care.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been there hasn't been one time that I haven't texted you haven't responded to my text.
Yeah.
And not to say that means anything, but, like, I know I can text you and I know you'll respond. If you didn't respond, that'd be weird. And I'd be like, something was up. You know what I mean? And, like, that means a lot to me. Because I could text you at any time. Like, before kind of planning this, when was the last time we talked? Like it had been like a couple months, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I mean, like I kind of fucked with you about like doing it, and you're like, yeah, and then like 3 or 4 months, and then we talked again, right?
Yeah.
But like like you said, when we talk, it's like I just talked to you yesterday.
Yeah, because, and again, I get the same vibe with you. Like you genuinely care. Like we're not faking. There are times that I've had dinner or lunch with someone and I've kind of just had to go through the motions.
One of our
Right?
fraternity brothers.
Some
Hey.
of us, there. Listen, there are some that it's like
Look, hey, look.
you want to be there to help.
I'm gonna bail you the fuck out right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Look, just because you buy your friends doesn't mean you're gonna like all of them. And I love all my fraternity brothers. I'm glad I was in a fraternity. But, not on every day. I'm sure I'm not everybody's cup of tea on every fucking day. I don't give a shit. Like, it's just like that's the way a family kind of works. You're not going to always get along with your brothers all the time. But at the end of the day, we're all very united. I mean, some of us paid dues, some of us didn't. We talked about that earlier before we started the podcast.
I mean,
like, you're talking about, like, we were saying that you buy your.
I had spent my money
You
at
buy,
the
you
bar.
you buy your friends, but then none of us pay dues. So nobody's really buying your friends. We all
Yeah.
stuck around.
Yeah. No, I mean you're right. And again, it's very few. And when I talk about not really wanting to be around someone but doing it out of the motion, it's not necessarily. I mean, the fraternity guys. It's more so
It could
just
be anybody.
individual
Yeah,
people
sure.
that I just now they're just days that I just was like, man, I want to see what Scott's up to. I want to see what he's,
Yeah.
I want to see what he's doing,
And then, and that day, we'll start with him sending a text like, I saw you wore some weird shit on the internet or something like that. Like just him totally messing with.
I mean, I can't do it. I can't do it all loving and caring. It's got to
But
be.
I don't think there's ever. I don't think you have ever said. I mean, in probably all the really messed up stuff we said to each other privately, I don't think you said anything that hurts my feelings or that I've got upset about. Like I understood that the joke is the joke. You know what I mean? Like it like because I know you.
Yeah.
I know you as a person.
Yeah.
I know how you've treated me, how you treat my family, like even like my brother. How you are with my
I
brother.
love you, brother.
My brother loves you, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, and so like, it's way deeper than just like us messing with each other,
Well, we have that bond. There's others that will send me a text that is kind of in that same kind of playful way, but I don't want to take it that way, or I'm
Well,
like,
I mean,
you're not on
because
that level with me,
you trust me, right?
right? And that's
That comes back to like when I said, hey, I'll let this guy hold a gun.
Yeah.
Like I trust you.
Well, but it's earned. You've earned it many years of our relationship. I don't have. I rarely have a lot of trust in people, and it goes back to me, how I grew up and how I was raised and things like that. I didn't grow up in a really good, if you listen to UGK, shout out Bun B. If you listen to UGK, that was how
R.I.P. Pimp C.
Yeah, R.I.P. Pimp C. That's how I grew up. That's how, so the trust thing, you were always,
Yeah.
but when you gave somebody your trust and they didn't shit on it, they stayed your boys for life.
Yeah.
And you're my boy for life,
Well, and I think it's a consistency,
Yeah.
right? Like, if I was inconsistent about the way I treated you or the way you trusted me, like you'd be like, well, I don't know about this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a ever moving scale. I think sometimes it's really hard to look at people that we really have made a bond with and go, man, like this is not good for my life anymore. You know what I mean? And be able to cut them out. So you have to be consistent about like how you treat people, especially the people that are important to you. And then we have a tendency to treat the people that are most important to us like shit.
You know what? It's weird, right? I mean,
But I mean, it's like if you could really look at it as like a compliment, you're like, oh, someone feels comfortable enough to treat me like shit. Like I thought, I mean, like you know what I mean. And I don't even think it's a person treating like shit. I just think that they feel open enough to be the real person that they are, which is somebody that's upset with a behavior. Does that make sense?
I don't know. Again, maybe I'm not understanding but being comfortable enough to treat someone like shit. If I care about you, then I'm being real, right?
So you need to not view that like. So it's a thing of like, hey, don't take this personal. This isn't personal.
Yes.
If I'm being real with you, this ain't personal.
Yes.
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
Like, yeah. And that's, I think, something I really like about my relationship with my girlfriend is that, like, she'll just come to me and she'll go like, "Hey, I have something to tell you. Don't take this personal. This is just it's bothering me right now." And that's a really powerful thing if you really accept it. And but you have to trust that person that it's not as personal as it sounds. It's not personal.
Well, again, and even when it is personal, we need that other person to call us out on our bullshit sometimes.
Yeah.
We got to keep ourselves in check. And when
you have to trust that person.
You have to trust that person, and that person can't misuse, hey, don't take this personally, but you're a shitty person.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
But
that's someone abusing trust.
That's no longer,
that's not trust.
That's not trust. That's now you're just shitting on me.
Yeah.
So, but to find someone that you trust, that you value that negative criticism, that's a hard thing for all of us.
Yeah.
To get a negative. We always want the pat on the back, you're the best, but when somebody comes and says, "Look, you got to chill out on this. You're really, if you trust them, then you're going to take a step back and go, "Okay." And then make those modifications if you agree with it. If you don't, and you're like, "Hey, suck it up," then are you being the shitty person? It kind of...
Okay, yes or no? If we had met outside the fraternity, we would have been friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
The fraternity was the catalyst. I mean, but the fraternity could have been a bar. It could have been, it could have been anything. It just, we got more time to kind of like bond. It's like someone that, if you meet them once at a bar, but then you meet them twice at a bar, it's just that much longer. And I think that, we would have totally been friends.
Absolutely. There's guys that are in the fraternity with us that went through the same thing that I could give a shit about, that I don't have any relationships with, that they're not my friends.
And that's not necessarily a negative thing. That's just like every group of everything of every, you know what I mean? And like, I think that, it would be real easy for guys to take that personal, but at the same time, there's cliques and little things in everything that we do, right? At work, at everywhere, right?
Well, I don't think that I'm on everybody's Christmas card list either,
no,
right?
No.
I mean, but I'm not
taking that personal.
No.
I
don't
want to hang out with Jody. Hey, Jody, I'm just kidding. I love you.
I love Jody. I mean, he's a wild man right now. But I mean, Denny James and I, we were at
one of our fraternity brothers.
At the Rangers game. He sent out a group text, in our group text message. Anybody in Dallas? I was in Dallas.
Hey, by the way, I'm not on this group text message, and I would be offended, but I'm not.
We keep adding you. I don't know why you.
Oh, whatever. They get flagged as bullshit. Keep adding me.
I will show you where I added you.
He's gonna show me where he added me.
Yeah, because they're like every time they add one person, there's a different damn group chat that starts.
We need a better system.
But you don't even respond.
I know I don't respond to shit because they're just texting stupid ass like shit. They act like they're like 18 years old in college in those group messages. You know what that's like? Hey, I'm not making anything up of anybody else out there with their friends and how they act, especially guys, right? Yeah. You know I'm wrong.
Honestly, I have it to where
honestly Bobby doesn't he doesn't partake in that kind of.
No, I'm in there with him, but I have it to where I don't get notified.
Yeah, you can
because it'll be blue 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 blue.
Yeah, it's
blue.
all night long.
Yeah,
all night long.
But Eloy and I, another fraternity brother of ours, we hung out a couple of weeks ago. He was in Dallas for business. I was there for business, and these relationships are valuable to me. But it's the bond of the person. I would have been friends with Eloy outside of the fraternity.
Yeah,
I would have been friends with you outside of the fraternity. It's fortunate. My old roommate Chris Sanders, who our fraternity brother, who got me to join. I haven't talked to him in 15 years.
Sound like you might have called him.
But that's the thing is, it's like, there's just some relationships that,
I mean, like that, but that's just life.
yeah,
Life is just like, it's like people fall in and out of your life, and you can't get too stuck on one person falling in and out, because it's just an evolution like that. And it doesn't mean that it can't come back around, right? So like, as an example, like I knew Aaron before I was married, and now we have a whole different relationship after we were married. But like, you know, at the time where I lost it, I was very confused about why I was losing it. And if I would have known, oh, well, you're going to do all this shit and then you're going to end up here, then maybe I looked at it a little bit differently. You know what I mean? With a little more patience. But like, was no reason to get caught up. I wasted a lot of time worrying about what it was and it wasn't, and just like letting it go. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if you truly believe in the fact that, everything happens for a reason.
As cliche as that sounds,
it does. Like,
I mean, but you have to look for it. You can't be like shitting on all the time, right?
Well,
like
no.
You have to look for the reasons why things happen. Like people are too busy looking at shitty things to see the beauty in the things that do happen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through 2 divorces. Okay,
I can't believe you got married twice.
You were in one of them.
Yeah,
you were in one of my.
I was one of your divorces. I thought you're saying you were talking about my divorce.
It was in my first wedding.
Yeah.
Her and I, my first wife.
Really quickly, can I just say, all I remember about Bobby's first wedding was, at some other point in time that was not his wedding, I had to carry this giant china cabinet down 3 flights of stairs, and he didn't like tie the doors are like flapping open, and it is heavy, and like halfway down he goes, oh yeah, it took like 5 guys to move this upstairs when we moved in. It was just me and him, and I was like, I'm gonna die under this thing. I don't remember shit about your wedding. All I remember is like, this guy's got me with this heavy. I was in good shape at that time.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't now. And you thought the 2 of us, we did it though,
man,
and didn't break it.
That was the thing with her. So she,
she liked things.
And they were very expensive things.
Sure.
That wedding was very hoity-toity. We had, I don't know if you remember seeing, a lot of Astros baseball players. Robert Ory was at the wedding.
What was I doing?
Yeah, she was, pretty entangled with
that group.
With that group. She ran a very high-end school, and those players' kids went to that school, and so but to go back to what I was saying is that I've been through 2 divorces. I have 4 great children out of that, and the fact that it didn't all work out, but I have these great kids. I have these great lessons in myself that I learned, right? Half of the problem in that marriage was me too.
Right.
And I didn't walk out going, that bitch was crazy, this, then that, it was me too.
Yeah.
Right. Which made me a better person for now.
Well, and relationships with your kids.
Yeah.
Just like overall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a better person, but it took those lessons learned, and everything happens for a reason. And, and
it's like what I call, like, you didn't get stuck. You didn't, in one moment in your life, you didn't get stuck in that one moment and then not be able to move forward. You learn, you grow, you move forward, like you progress. Like, so it would be real easy maybe like after a first marriage to not want to get married again. Or it'd be really easy after a second marriage to go like, I don't really have a relationship again. But you have to kind of reset your thinking every single time. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, if I was to say after my first marriage, I don't want to be in a relationship again, then I wouldn't have the 2 great daughters I have now.
That's right. Yeah.
And how wonderful their mother is to them, and their personalities and everything are 50% her and 50% me. Same thing with my son. And my only son, I call him my man cub. I couldn't ask God for a better son, and he's going to carry on and make my last name a hell of a lot better than how I have it.
That's
you know?
true.
But
I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking.
no, I mean
No,
when-
and not making a joke. I mean, that's the legacy you pass on. That's the work that you put into raising a good kid. You know what I mean? That to do good things. That's what you should. That's what you should want to do.
Yes, his mom and I have really done a great job. You know, patting myself and her on the back, more so her with a lot of things, but the us leaving a better legacy and instilling in them a better way of thinking and one I feel blessed though that through the ups and downs of my life it's always had a progression.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I've had down times and things like that, but when I've come out of it, I'm better than where I was.
Well, that's the way you viewed it, though, right?
Yeah.
You chose to view it in that way. You chose to take that perspective. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I think we should. You know,
Yeah.
we're all going to get a shitty day or
Nobody's
shitty
immune.
year.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody's safe. You
right.
know what I mean? Yeah.
It's going to happen.
right.
But how you come out of it, and if you take those lessons learned and you apply them, okay, that happened to me. What's that saying? You know, shame on you, whatever. It happened.
Fool me once, shame on
Yeah.
you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Right.
Ooh, did I get that right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
If you go through that same thing twice, then now you're the idiot,
Yeah.
right?
You
the
have to
one-
learn. You have to learn. You have to
Yeah.
progress, right?
Yeah, and that's what I have been blessed with, and I look forward to my future and all the things coming down. I mean, dude, when you see what's coming ahead and things like that, and I'm gonna share my life with you guys, it's about to be even more spectacular, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm assuming you feel blessed. You feel very blessed to have everything you have.
Man, things are just really lined out now. Like it's really, it's really falling into place, and I'm looking forward to where it's taking us and where it's going to be.
So, well, wait, this is perfect. So, like, I always like to kind of like wrap this whole thing up, which is kind of like talking about like what did people do to kind of like make themselves better, keep themselves even, take care of themselves and stuff like that. And like, I feel like that you probably couldn't get to the place that you are right now without like some sort of taking your care of yourself. And I would assume like kind of maybe one of the things you do is like hunting, right? Like, I mean, that's like a very relaxing thing for you to do, to go hunting. It's very much like your environment, or even maybe more specifically guiding, right? So what do you do to take care of you so that you're like the best version for like your family and stuff?
Man, I think having that balance between work and hobby of the things that, for one, we're fathers, right? We're providers. We have to work, but you also have to find the balance of you time. What is going to make you yourself happy?
You're going to recharge yourself.
There is nothing, there is nothing wrong with being selfish, right? There are.
So let me clarify. Selfish without harm to somebody else.
Correct.
Right. So like taking time for yourself doesn't harm anybody else. It just means they don't have that time with you, but you're not taking anything away from them. You're using your time, correct?
You have to have selfish moments.
In that way.
Yeah. I don't mean like, a negative, but yeah, you have to have selfish moments in your life to recharge. Part of my selfish moment is like, I'll go down to the ranch, or I'll, go to Cabo to go fishing, or, call my buddies at Voodoo Fishing Charter in Venice, Louisiana, and, just head down and recharge. I am a great provider. I've done my dad duty, There are times that I just need that. I'm getting back into working out. I I I found that now that I'm 45 years old, a hamburger takes a lot longer to get off.
Yeah, no
Right.
shit.
And so my working out and things like that and trying to be better, I'm never going to be ripped and perfect and all of that.
You just want to be alive,
I
bro.
just want to be alive.
That's right.
Right. And so doing those kind of things, using the shit out of my medical insurance for, checkups and things like that, taking care of myself. So when I am 80 years old, I'm still able to bebop around,
Yeah.
you know. But being selfish in a lot of ways helps your family around you, right? When you're happy and you're not taking your day out on everybody else,
Right.
So
Well, I mean, I think the term selfish can be so negative, but back to kind of like everything that we've kind of talked about is that like it's impossible to have selfish and not maybe possibly be a positive out of that. And the positive out of that is that like taking time for yourself when you're not harming someone else or taking something away from someone else or you don't have an obligation or whatever else it is. Like literally like it's your time to choose is the way that you balance your life for the times that you don't get to choose. Right. Yeah. So like you're taking that time so that when you don't have, it sounds so bad to say I don't have a choice, but like where you have an obligation for your kids or for your spouse or whatever it is, you've already taken that time. So you don't feel like, oh man, now all my time is taken. Yeah. Well, you didn't take the time that was given. You didn't maximize the time. You chose to like sleep or watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
One of the, I have some celebrity sports guys who've played for the Houston Texans. Shout out Brian Peters and Brian Cushing. Brian Peters has a podcast called Mind Strong, and he had Cushing on there, and they were talking about, what made them, right? And how they had to put in all of this work and the grind and
that's right
and things like that. Those guys were animals and what they did, but they selfishly did that, and it made them a better version of them long term.
Right.
And so when I got the privilege to hang out with these guys and to really have a one-on-one outside of their football career, and once you get past the celebrity kind of deal, they don't act that way, and
they're just human beings, they're human beings like everybody else.
Straight up men, straight up just Whitney Merciless, also one of the just a great guy, and they have this. Their approach was all common, was all the same, was that they selfishly dedicated themselves to their bodies, to their craft. They shut everything else out, relationships, everything else, made themselves a better version. And now you look at them, they have great relationships. Cushing has all-star boys that are kicking ass in sports. Merciless just retired and, doing cooking and things like that. But they selfishly dove in head first, and their families are better for it.
Well, and I would probably venture to say at the time where they're being that quote-unquote selfish, hopefully they're like letting people know, like, look, this is where I'm at.
Exactly.
And that allows you to be selfish because you're making it very known. And if someone wants to kind of join on board, they can, but you understand, like, hey, this is where I'm at. And that communication little piece of just being very honest about where you're at, what you're doing, stuff like that makes a huge difference in your relationship with people, right? Because there's no unrealistic expectations of what it's going to be. And I'd say that would be very much like what we are. There's no unrealistic expectations of what our relationship is. It's very true. We know what it is. Like
Yes.
I don't worry about it. I don't think about it at all because I know exactly what it is. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
absolutely. This is what you're going to get from me, and it's going to pay off. But this either you're on board with me and you're going to go through this with me because this is all I'm going to be able to give you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with you only having so much to give me at certain times because
Right.
I trust you as a friend.
Yeah.
Like I go like if Bobby's not giving me 100% or what I feel like is 100%, it's probably just because he's going through something. It has nothing to do with me. Like you know what I mean? Like and I trust that because I know you. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can't like when did we become so important in ourselves that we think that we're the primary focus of everybody else's lives,
Yeah.
right? Like if I call you and you don't pick up, I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess he doesn't want to talk to me." I don't think of it that way.
Yeah. That's your ego.
When,
That's your
yeah,
ego
when
talking.
do I feel that? And again, that's where you got to really value and check yourself. Like, dude,
But hey,
I don't circle around I don't revolve around everybody else's world.
I'm assuming though you kind of do that with your son as well, right? Because he doesn't text you right back all the time, I bet, right? Or does he?
No.
I mean, he's got his own life too, right? And you had to like adjust to that as a dad. It maybe wasn't super comfortable, but like on the same level, you go like I'm not necessarily always his central focus. He's young, he's girlfriends and sports and all this other. He's got a lot of stuff going on, but he always gets back to you, right?
Yeah, or I'd shut his fucking phone off.
Oh, easy, easy. He ain't gonna shut your phone off. Don't get nervous.
Oh, he knows. I've been preaching to him, throughout his life that everybody has a job. His job is school. As long as he's doing his job, he's going to get paid.
Right.
And by paid, he's going to get that iPhone 13. He's going to get a brand new truck. He's going
You're only you're
whatever.
asking him to do school.
Yeah.
I'll take care of you. Do school.
But that's your job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not expecting him to be like, I text him and he's like,
Yeah, sure.
Right on top of
I
it.
was being facetious.
But on the flip side of that, it's when he texts me, I try to do everything in my power, whether I'm sitting in a meeting, in a conference room somewhere, to make him a priority.
Yeah.
It's valuable. Our kids, they have to know that.
Yeah.
And so I'm career driven, but I'm never going to be too career driven to where I'm not going to take time out for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're really the only ones besides your relationship with your woman or whoever that get that privilege. Everybody else, you can wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's just it's how life is.
I mean, you're going to have to make some tough decisions in life, and you're going to have to make things a priority, and that means everything can't be a priority. And if you try to make everything a priority, you're going to realize that, like, you're not going to be able to maintain your priorities, the things that are important to you.
You will lose focus.
Yeah, so you're going to have to make some tough decisions, but, like, you have to make decisions that you think are best for you and your circle. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so did it go by fast?
This?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you how long do you think we've been recording?
I don't know.
It's been a little like over an hour, but it just like zooms, right?
Did it?
Yeah.
Really?
No, you felt like it went on for a really long time?
No, I felt like we just
started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a good time?
I did.
You gonna come back and do this again? Like,
yeah.
I'm getting everybody to commit just ahead of time. You know,
Yeah.
I have it on tape now, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
I'm in. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to sit here and talk about life.
Anything you want to do? Let's do one really quick story. Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll just end it.
About what?
Okay. So when you think of me, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What's the first memory or story that comes to mind when you think of me? I can tell you mine. I already know mine off the top of my head. And I'm not going to go real graphic. I'm just going very general.
Well, good.
No, it's not that graphic. It was just very interesting situation in my perspective.
So when I think of you, I like I think one of the memories that come to my head were the when we were going through, or I was going through Hell Week or whatever, and you were there at the house, and you know, it was, you had this kind of, I always thought that you had this certain kind of coolness about, like I know that sounds kind of dumb, but you had, and you still do, you have this, like, you're not, everybody else is heading down this path, you're like, you know, you've always blazed your own thing, and you were kind of a trendsetter. You know, I thought you were the coolest out of all the guys that I knew, besides myself. But
Yeah, of course.
you know, but that's what I remember, is just how collective you've always been, even if it's just on the outside.
Yeah. A lot of that was on the outside, but we don't have to go into that right now. Yeah.
As the years have gone by, I've come to realize that.
Sure.
But
yeah. You get old, you understand.
But that's the memories that stick with me, or you know, that Scotty G was always like the cool guy, you know, DJing, you know, over at what you call it, Gordo's
And nephews.
Killed
it at nephews.
I remember nephews, and
So stupid.
those are the things that I remember from back then. And then, you know, your apartment in Houston, and you know,
hanging out
and shit.
Yeah, man, that makes my story feel really shitty. I remember taking pledges to Mexico, and like I mean, no offense to your pledge class, but they were kind of like awkward white guys, right? And you were kind of really the only person that spoke Spanish. And so we went to like this bar, and you were like basically having to like talk to all the girls, but like I don't know what you were telling them, but they weren't interested in any of the white guys. They just got all interested in you, and all the girls kind of being interested in you, and all these guys been like, well, this isn't like kind of working. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I think, but you know, I mean, no offense.
We're not naming we have to name names. You know what I mean?
No offense, Jay Turley, but I think, you know, at the time, I mean, we had what it was. I mean, Turley had the damn Justin Timberlake kind of perm.
No, he had like the blonde tips. He had the like.
Yeah, but didn't he have like little curls and stuff like that?
No.
Maybe I'm remembering it wrong.
Well, there's a lot of drinks since then.
Um,
But I mean, you fit the mold of what was going on in Mexico. Let's just put it that way. None of those guys. I mean, like those guys look like tourists. You know what I mean?
We all were in like.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, but like you could have just been like some guy in Mexico that dressed really nice.
I was the one that was. Yeah, I was the Mexican that was showing the tourist around.
Right. Basically, you were doing a hunting guy.
I was, but different dough.
Yeah.
What's funny is that, so I ended up finding out I did that DNA thing or whatever, that I'm 2% Spanish, and 38% Native American.
What?
Yeah, and then the rest on my mom's side, the French and
Wait, so you're not Hispanic?
I'm not Mexican.
What are you?
I'm Native American, apparently.
What?
Yeah.
Are you coming out right now on my show?
Hey, yes. I mean, again, if you see my facial structure and everything, so that's actually what's been going on.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, you have a lot of kids from a lot of different women in the tribe. I mean,
no, no. This native has just bred white women.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Well, hey, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming in and doing this. I was trying to wrangle you for a while, and he texted me. He goes, "Are you ready to have the best podcast that you have ever had?" And I can honestly say, I can honestly say this, like to this point, probably like it was really smooth. And I know that talking to you that we have those conversations all the time, but man, like it's just really good. I mean, this is exactly pretty much how we would kind of sit and chat. and that's like really cool. It's really cool to show that example, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always going to be that way. I would other interviews and or things that I've done
Bigger
bigger
shows than mine.
where I've had to do things like this. I was extremely nervous, but sitting across from you,
Well,
it's just a conversation.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you weren't in somebody's garage either.
But honestly, man, where I've been, like, this is the coolest setup. Like,
Thank you.
This is pimped out. Like, I like this.
I appreciate it.
I like this a lot.
All right.
It speaks to who you are, though.
All right, we're gonna leave on that great compliment.
Later.
Hey, kick that mic out and give me a hug. I make everybody give me a hug.